Hey, welcome back everybody. It's been quite some time since I've done a toy review. If you've been following the channel for a while, or if you know me personally, a lot of my subscribers do. So far, hopefully we're growing the subscriber count. But anyway, you probably know that I'm a big time toy collector. I have a huge toy collection. My passion for toys started when I was just a small boy when a little movie called Star Wars came out. I remember seeing that opening week, or pretty close to it. Absolutely fell in love with the toys, and I have been very passionate about action figures and toy collecting ever since. If you subscribe to the channel for the snack reviews, this is not one of those. I apologize for that, but hopefully you'll still watch this and enjoy, even if you're not into action figures. The thing about action figures and toys is that they are generally thought of as children's playthings, and historically that's what they have been. But these days there are a lot of adult collectors, and a lot of toy manufacturers make toys and action figures specifically for the adult collectors market. And there are a lot of grown-ups that collect them. And toys really are, especially action figures, a very American art form. These are sculptures that have been created by really talented artists. And a lot of companies now even credit the artists who've sculpted their toys. And these are basically statues that you can pose. And so that's one of the things that I enjoy about them. I also have small children. They love to play with them. I don't let them play with all of my toys, but they do get to play with pretty much most of them. This is one that I've actually had for a while. My birthday was just recently. This is something that I got for my birthday last year. My birthday's on June 12th. This was one that my brother got me that I was really into and really excited about. If you've seen some of the other videos, you know that I got a little busy last summer and really didn't get around to doing a whole lot of reviews, but the channel has recently been revitalized and I've had a lot of videos coming out fairly regularly now. And this is my first toy review in a while. What I'm reviewing today is one of my favorite characters from popular culture, and this is a specific version that comes from my childhood, and this is the Neca toys. Defenders of the Earth, Flash Gordon. Defenders of the Earth was a cartoon from the 80s, and it basically teamed up Flash Gordon and a lot of other contemporary pulp heroes, mostly from King Features. That show included sort of a shared universe, if you will. If you're familiar with the Avengers, shared universes are a big deal these days, and Defenders of the Earth was an early attempt at that, with Flash Gordon teaming up with such heroes as the Phantom, Mandrake the Magician, and Lothar. And it was a really cool show. And they battled Ming the Merciless, Flash Gordon's main nemesis. Really great show, really well done. And it had its own toy line that was contemporary to the show, that was produced by the Galoob Company, which eventually was bought out by Kenner, I believe, and now is owned by Hasbro. And the Galoob name doesn't really exist as its own toy manufacturer anymore. It really doesn't get used. But one of the cool touches about the packaging here is that you can see the Neca company has done their logo in the classic Galoob style. So this is very similar. I'll put up a picture of what the Galoob logo looked like, but they've tried to mimic that. And what I have here is the leader of the Defenders of the Earth, Flash Gordon. Flash Gordon's one of my favorite heroes in all of Pulp Fiction. And he originated in comic strips. Back in 1934, he was created by artist Alex Raymond. He was really popular when I was a kid because Filmation Animation Studio did a cartoon about Flash Gordon that was really popular and really well received. It's probably one of the better animated cartoons that had come out around that time. And then Dino De Laurentiis made a very famous movie about Flash Gordon starring Sam Jones that didn't perform terribly well at the box office, but something that I've always loved. This version of Flash Gordon is, of course, based on the Defenders of the Earth version. But one of the cool things that I like about it, about the sculpt, is that if you look really closely, and I'm going to take him out of the package so that you can see, his sculpt is really inspired by early Flash Gordon actor Buster Crabbe, who had been a famous Olympic swimmer. And Buster Crabbe played not only Flash Gordon, but he also played Buck Rogers. He played Tarzan. He's a really cool guy. And this figure looks really, really similar to him. So you can see the packaging is really cool. It's got this really nice artistic representation of Flash Gordon as he appeared on the Defenders of the Earth TV show. It's got his name right there on the bottom. It says Savior of the Universe. It says he comes with a laser blaster, a blast effect, and a sword. So we're getting some weapons in there. We're getting some other cool stuff. On the back, it says the sculpture was done by an artist named George Djokovic. That's a difficult name to say. He's obviously from another country. He spells George D-J-O-R-J-E. which is really unusual. But the back of the box shows the Defenders of the Earth logo. We'll go ahead and zoom in on that. It says, "Our duty is clear. The time is now. Fate has decreed that we are defenders of the earth." You can see on the back, this was the first series. These have been, they were tough to find when they first came out. Like I said, I got this a year ago, so the first assortment was really gotten kind of difficult to find. You may pay a premium if you go looking for them now, but you could see on the back of the package, the first assortment. Here's Lothar. He is the assistant to Mandrake the Magician in the original Mandrake comic strips. In the Defenders of the Earth show, they kind of made Lothar a much more important character in his own right, which was really cool for the time. And really great for this particular character because he's a really cool character, and it was nice that they let him stand out a little more on the show. There's Flash Gordon. There's the Phantom, the Ghost Who Walks, another really cool classic comic strip hero created by Lee Falk. And there's Ming the Merciless, the enemy of Flash Gordon, ruler of Mongo. So on the back, we've got a cool picture of Flash Gordon. Of course, you can see him through the window in the front. It's a very cool looking figure, very nicely sculpted. It says, "Collect the whole world of heroes and villains. Flash Gordon, savior of the universe. Out of the sky his rockets ignite, jets into battle flying faster than light," which is actually an excerpt from the lyrics from the Defenders of the Earth theme song. So anyway, let's get the, first of all, packaging is very nice. It is not terribly sturdy. It is designed to be what toy collectors refer to as collector friendly, which means you can open it up, take the figure out with minimal effort, put it back in like it's brand new. But the cardboard that they used on this is a little disappointing. You can see mine. And again, this is not from, I take really good care of my toys and my packages. This has been sitting in the closet since my birthday last year, and it came this way. It was actually a little dinged up. The cardboard that it's made out of, the packaging, is a little bit flimsy and it kind of dings really easy, which is unfortunate. But, you know, I don't collect toys to invest. I don't sell my toys for a profit. So this is something that I'm going to keep with me. I like the packaging. I keep it because, one, it protects the figure, and it looks really cool. So I keep the box, and I do take my figures out. I'm an opener is what they call. So I'll take my figures out, check them out, and usually they go back in, but not all the time. Sometimes I'll put them out on display. I play with my figures, I won't lie. I'm a big kid at heart, and so there's no shame in my game. Let's go ahead and get them open. It does say, like most of Neca's figures, they do design toys for the adult collectible market. So these are not toys necessarily for kids. It actually says ages 14 and up right there, you can see. So these are intended for teenagers and adults. Of course, you know, if you're a smaller kid and you take care of your stuff, you know, there's no problem with you having this figure. It's a little pricier. These run $20, $25, $30. NECA's figures usually run. There's a choking hazard. They have small parts. They do tend to be a little on the less sturdy side, I'll put it that way. They don't break terribly easy, but if you're a child, you know, you play kind of rough, you throw this guy in the air, there's a chance something's going to snap off. So you really should, if you're going to buy these and want to play with them or have a kid who wants to play with them, take really good care of them. Be gentle because they are intended for adults. So right out of the package, he's sitting here in his bubble. There's Flash Gordon. There's his ray gun. This is the ray gun from the Defenders of the Earth cartoon. It's been a while since I watched it. I do have it on DVD, but I'm not sure how accurate that is. So this is a pretty typical ray gun, I imagine, for the 80s. Doesn't really look a whole lot like type of classic ray guns that Flash would have had in like the 30s or 40s, or even in the old film serials, or even the De Laurentiis version. But it's a really cool gun. He's got a sword that looks a lot like a lightsaber. You can see right there. It's translucent, which is how all of the lightsaber toys generally are produced these days. So it looks like it's made out of light, but yeah, that's really cool. And then you can see also he comes with some laser blast effects that snap onto the gun, and he's got a selection of hands. A lot of the NECA figures come with an assortment of different hands with different poses. Flash here has got some grasping hands. He's got some fists, so you can swap them out, and you have a lot of options as far as how you like to pose them. I'm going to go ahead and get him out of the bubble. So here we have a very nicely sculpted Flash Gordon figure. He's wearing his classic red and gold. This is pretty typical Flash Gordon outfit, the kind of outfit you might have seen him wear in cartoons, various cartoons throughout the year. He's a very old character, so you may have seen him wear outfits like this in comic strips or cartoons, or even the movie. Sam Jones wears red and gold a lot in the De Laurentiis movie from the 80s, which I absolutely loved again. You can see he's very nicely sculpted. He's got a very superhero physique, a lot of muscles, and he is very posable. These figures tend to be fairly posable. His shoulder joints raise up, they splay out, arms splay out from his sides. His arms move back and forward. He's got these cool double jointed elbows, so he can actually get these really sharp bends in his arms. His wrists, they twist and they move back and forth. There's a lot of posability there. His head, up and down, side to side, and he's got, you know, this kind of thing, whatever you call that. Anyway, his head is very posable, and then again, you know, if you look at the sculpt right there, very, very evocative of Buster Crab. It's a bit of an idealized, super heroic take on Buster Crab, but definitely the same hairdo. He had a very distinctive hairstyle, Buster Crab did, and this Flash Gordon figure has that. He also has this nice joint in his torso that allows him to lean forward and back. He's got a cut joint in his waist, so you can turn side to side. He's got a very nice lightning logo on his belt, which is typically associated with Flash Gordon. His arms have these bicep joints so that they can twist. You can get this guy into really a lot of poses. His legs splay out to the sides, they move forward and back. They twist. Mine is a little tight. If you've never, you know, collected figures, be really careful moving the joints when they're fresh out of the package like this. Sometimes they get stuck and you don't want to force them. They can snap. But he's also got these double jointed knees. He's got a cut joint in the top of his boots, which I feel is a little unnecessary. People's legs don't really move this way. It's enough that his feet move. But anyway, it's always nice to have more articulation than less. A lot of toy companies seem to think that kids don't like articulation. I know that to be a lie because I used to be a kid. And one thing that I always wanted, that always disappointed me about my beloved Star Wars figures, was that they couldn't even bend at the knees. These guys had 5 points of articulation. The head moved back and forth. The arms moved up and down, back and forth, I guess. And the legs moved, you know, back and forth. And you couldn't really make them put them in a sitting pose. It was really kind of difficult. In fact, Kenner had to come up with workarounds to get those early Star Wars figures to sit on some of the creatures that they came with. They would actually put a trap door and then have the saddle open, and you would slip the figure's legs actually into the creature, and then he would have sculpted legs on the saddle so it would look like he's sitting, because those figures couldn't sit. But this guy, if they ever wanted to make some kind of creature that he could ride on, say a horse, the Phantom rides a horse, and he would have the Neca Phantom figure would have the same articulation as this. You could totally get him to sit on the saddle. And that's really nice. That's always a plus. And here's another thing. I have kids. You may have seen Jordan and Gabe in some of my videos. They help me out with my reviews on occasion. When I first gave Jordan some of the classic Star Wars figures, one of the first things that he said was he complained and he wanted to know why they couldn't sit down. Because the knees don't bend. And so, you know, he really likes the fact that some of these newer figures can get in these really extreme poses. And you can get some really cool looking, very naturalistic poses out of these guys, which is really nice. And which I always appreciated and wish more of my toys that I had as a kid did the same thing. One of the things that pulled me away from Star Wars toys finally was the original Hasbro G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero figures came out. These are the smaller ones. Original G.I. Joe was 12 inches, but these were the 3 3/4 inch figures. They actually had bendable knees and bendable elbows, so you can pose them better and in more poses than the Star Wars figures. And so that was a big draw for me. So I know for a fact that kids really do appreciate articulation, regardless of what the toy companies might think these days. Let's go ahead and look at some of his accessories. First of all, here are his weapons. I've got his ray gun there. It's a nice metallic looking blue. This is a very 80s looking ray gun. This reminds me a lot of like the type of weapons you would see in Star Wars. This is not a traditional classic retro style sci-fi ray gun. This is more like a Star Wars style blaster, which is consistent with Defenders of the Earth. And like I said, it's been a while since I've checked, so I'm not really sure how accurate this is to the show. And then the other accessory that we have is Flash Gordon's sword. Flash Gordon is kind of a classic swashbuckling style adventurer, so he used a lot of swords in his adventures, and I believe he used one in the cartoons as well. And this is a really cool looking sword. It's got a nice point, it's nice and straight. A lot of times these are bent out of the package. This one has a slight curve, but it's not too bad. It's got a nice detailed hilt. And let's see what that looks like in his hand. So there we go. Flash Gordon, you can see he's perfectly capable of holding his sword and his ray gun at the same time. And like I said, you can get some really cool poses out of these guys. We can sort of, you know, well, let's turn it that way. Flash Gordon's shooting at some bad guys off camera. Get some nice deep poses, and these guys will stand pretty well on their own. They may take a little futzing, but you can get them to stand up pretty well. And anyway, there's Flash Gordon. Really cool looking. I love Flash. Not the Flash. He's not to be confused with the Flash from DC Comics, the guy that runs fast. This is a completely different guy. He predates DC's The Flash by several years, actually. Flash Gordon has no superpowers. He's just a man who demands courage, you know. Nothing but a man. But he can never fail, and he's the savior of the universe, and he is super cool. Think of him sort of a prototype for Han Solo. He's a really cool, you know, alpha male type. He ends up in this weird situation that he's not familiar with, and he's not afraid to, you know, take charge, get in there and fight the bad guy and do what it takes to do what is necessary to get things done. That's Flash Gordon. Okay, so the next accessory we have is this really cool translucent blue laser blast effect, and this will snap onto the end of Flash Gordon's laser rifle, and it'll look like he's shooting lasers at the bad guys. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and that's what that looks like. So it looks like the laser blast is coming out of the barrel of his gun. You can see it, and he shoots the bad guys. So, you know, if you're into displaying these guys, a lot of adult collectors love to display these guys in little scenarios on their shelves. And in their display cases. You might want to put this in there and have Flash shooting at a bad guy. Probably Ming, since so far he's the only bad guy in the line. But yeah, that looks really cool. Adds a nice little effect to the gun. And that's what that looks like. Flash also comes with this short little blast effect. So if you're strapped for space, or you just like the look of a smaller little laser blast, you'd use that one. It looks really cool. Looks very nice. These are really high quality collectibles. They're very well sculpted, very well designed, and they look great on a shelf. Like I said, you know, you pose these, stick them up on your shelf. I'm an artist also. I love to draw. I always have. And my action figures a lot of time work as inspiration. You can pose these in any pose you want. So, you know, if I'm drawing a character in a particular pose and I need to know what it looks like when somebody's standing in that pose, I don't have to do it myself. I can just look at Flash here, put him in whichever pose that I want, and just follow that as a guideline. So that's another really cool thing about action figures. Neca was also kind enough to provide an assortment of different hands. I'm not going to put them on right now. I'm just going to show you what they look like. He's got this hand with his trigger finger bent. So if you want, you can take off the hands that he comes with. And they are typical, we call these C-cup hands. So this is a basic grasping hand and is used for holding, you know, regular accessories. It also looks fairly natural sitting to the side. And but if you wanted something that looked more realistic, like he's actually pulling the trigger, you use this one. That's what that looks like. And they pop right off and they pop right back in. And then Neca has also provided these cool fists. So they're closed fists. So if you wanted to have Flash punching a bad guy, or you want to have him just grasping, just making his fists and holding them to a side, or even put them on his hips, you know, have his fists on his hips, you can do that as well. Let me see how hard this is to get in here. Again, sometimes these pegs get a little stuck, so you really don't want to force them. But I've gone ahead and I've taken it off. You can see there's a little hole there, and then they have these pegs on the ends of the hands, and you just pop that in, sometimes giving it a little twist. Again, you don't want to force it because you break these things. It's pretty much impossible to fix unless you're really good at customizing things, but there's Flash's fist. So he's got a closed fist, and you know, we can throw a punch. Maybe he's holding his gun up. He doesn't need the gun. Flash is a real alpha male type, so instead of shooting, he's just going to throw a punch and knock that guy on his butt. And like I said, these things pop on and off really easily. I don't recommend doing it too often, but you know, if you're careful, you know, you can get away with that. So I do notice that my Flash Gordon, his leg joints don't appear to twist. They may be stuck. I'm pretty sure they're supposed to twist in and out. A lot of times if something like that happens, you can heat it up with a hairdryer or put it in some hot water that will soften the plastic and it will help you loosen up. Never force them though, because they will break. Anyway, there's the Neca Flash Gordon. Neca stands for National Entertainment Collectibles Association. It's a really cool name. I have apparently been pronouncing that wrong for a very long time. I used to call them Neca, but I watched a few other videos. Everybody else on YouTube calls them Neca. So I'm assuming somebody knows, and I'm going to go with that. It sounds a little weird to me, but you know, that's just the way things are. May as well call them by the name everybody else uses. Anyway, there's the Neca Flash Gordon Defenders of the Earth figure. They've since come out with several different versions of Flash Gordon. They've come out with the classic Filmation style. My friend Alan has that version, and he recently did a review of that. They've also come out with one that's based more on the movie colors, if I'm not mistaken. I know they have a Ming the Merciless that's in the movie style. And those will be the ones that you're more likely to find. These Defenders of the Earth versions are not really easy. They weren't easy to come by when they were brand new. And like I said, they've been out for a year, so they're a little more difficult to find now. But if you can't find them, it's a really great figure to have. If you love action figures, I recommend going after this one. I would absolutely love, I'm a collect them all type, I would absolutely love to have all of the Defenders of the Earth. At this point, they are very difficult to find. I know the Phantom in particular has been a tough get for some collectors. It would be really nice to have all these guys on the shelves. One of the cool things about Defenders of the Earth also was that Flash and Mandrake and Lothar and the Phantom were joined on the show by the second generation of heroes, all of their kids. So far, Neca hasn't produced any of the kids, but it would be really nice if they did, and I would love to have those too. Yeah, these are really cool. If you're into action figures, this is a really cool one to have. I really recommend it. I absolutely love this guy. I think he's a great addition to my collection. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you're a collector, you're probably more apt to enjoy this than somebody who subscribed to the channel for snack food reviews. But even if you're not into action figures, I hope you've enjoyed anyway. I've got a lot of great stuff coming up, so don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell symbol for notifications. I've got a lot of other things in the work, more snack food reviews and some other things coming down the pipe also. Feel free to leave me some comments below. Share the video if you can. It helps out a lot to help the channel get noticed and to hopefully draw in more subscribers. And I hope you'll tune in next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.